Hello, guys. Through the side here again. Anyway, so of course, I'm going to be talking about growing up. This is actually a video I've been thinking about making it for a little while now, and finally decided to make it. So here we are. So, of course, I don't really judge people that don't grow up. I sometimes think that people, they don't always grow up. They just don't. Even if it's because drugs getting in the way of their development. Or maybe they just simply haven't had to grow up because they've never had to be responsible, or maybe it's just due to something personal. I don't actually always judge, and I will say that first, because I don't always think that people that haven't grown up aren't bad people, actually. However, there are some things that I do think about sometimes, and I do ask people sometimes that are growing up themselves. For instance, there are plenty of people that seem to think that what they are going through is so bad. Well, I'm 30 years old now, and I will tell you from experience that any problem that you are having right now, especially when you're at a younger age, 18, 21, 15, 10, let me tell you something. It's only the beginning of your problems. You think it's bad now, it's not going to get any better in the future. It's not. I mean, sure, sometimes your predicament can kind of get better in the future, actually. Sometimes your house might be nicer. Sometimes your car might be more reliable. Sometimes you break up with your wife and you meet somebody else that you like a little better. However, that's not always the case. And sometimes some of your problems will be restricted to you for the rest of your life. And to be frank, all you can do is just deal with it. For instance, getting last in the race. Well, it might not be fair that you got last in the race, but all you can do is just deal with it. It's sad to say, sometimes it hurts, but all you can sometimes do is deal with it. And when I was growing up as a teen, that was something I had to learn early, sadly. Is because growing up myself, there was at one point, especially through my teens, a lot of people, bossing me around. And they were lecturing me a lot growing up, quite a bit. They would harass me, and it even didn't even matter if I defended myself or what. Because when you defend yourself and people don't care, it doesn't matter what you do. If you if the people around you don't care, defending yourself won't matter what you do. And what I had to do, for one, in my situation, is one, I had to become a ghost, which is why I actually used to name myself Ghost, in the past. Of course, the situation has changed, but anyway. But I also realized at the time, sometimes all you can do is just deal with it and just keep on moving. And then, of course, in my 20s, growing up, going through my personal ordeals, which to this day sometimes are actually too personal to talk about, you tend to talk about them. You tend to be kind of in the dark a lot, to the points where, you know, you just think you will have it so bad. You think you have it so bad and you just want to end it all. But let me tell you something, and this is something that I ask a lot of people around that age. Especially when they're in their mid 20s and they're still thinking this way. I ask them, as you grow up and you move on with your life, especially when you move on from high school or whatever you need to move on from. Anything personal. So when you've moved on from this ordeal, do you want to keep on acting like the victim and staying in the dark in your mind? Or do you want to be a survivor? And of course, that's just my nice way of asking somebody, do you want to continue to act like a child and act like life is miserable? Or do you want to grow up and take it like a man? Do you want to continue to be hard on yourself? Or do you want to actually accomplish something and be proud of yourself for instance? That, in a nutshell, is what I always ask people growing up. But let me tell you, sometimes I meet people that are in their 40s and sometimes even in their 50s who seem to have not even to this day gone over high school. They still to this day think that once they got out of high school, that was the end of it. That the learning stops when you get out of high school. And whatever you have done in high school determines what you do in your future. And they just keep on with that. And of course, I'm here to tell you that that is completely full of shit. I mean, I am also kind of here to tell you that before I even got out of high school, that I realized high school doesn't last forever. And you might also realize that at the very least, when you graduate and you start to notice that you aren't keeping in contact with all your old friends anymore, or the people that used to boss you around anymore, which in many cases is a good thing, actually. And that, in turn, is your chance to, of course, grow up and move on. To anybody that is about to graduate and is watching this, that is my best advice to you, is to move on from high school. There was so much from high school that did not prepare me for growing up at all. In fact, it didn't hardly even prepare me for getting a job, especially with the way that jobs are nowadays. I will say this much, college is at least better than high school, even though it is maybe just a bit overpriced. It is at least better than high school, but anyway. But, sometimes there's the circumstances that, in this case, I actually know a lot of people that have taken drugs, whether it's heroin, meth, crack, you name it. I've seen people do it all growing up. And I, of course, am not going to neglect the fact that I could have been in the same situation. But of course, with some of the things that I've seen, which are, of course, too personal to talk about, in accordance with drugs, and also just the fact that I actually had a family that cared about me, like my mother. If it wasn't for just the right circumstances, I could have been easily in the same spot as them. So, just so you know, just don't harp on anybody too much for taking drugs, because you could have just as easily been in the same spot, let me tell you. Sometimes people just aren't in the right circumstances. It happens. It's not a right to judge. But to say the least, I'm at least, in a sense, glad what happens. Even though it might have really sucked, it made me who I am today. And I, of course, will continue to be a survivor through everything that I go through. And I at least hope you guys learned something from this video. So, with that being said, I'll end the video here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.